Hey, I'm some guy with a hat, co-host for today's episode.
And I'm some guy with a mic, the host for today's episode, and this is Two Raccoons in a Trench Coat podcast. Episode number 1, The Fantastic First Podcast. If this is your first time joining us, and since it's the first episode, it should be, my co-host and I pick a popular media topic, be it movies, shows, games, or books, and discuss them. Let's start off with today's topic and some trivia.
So trivia is going to work like this. We have 1 minute to answer 5 questions, and we can skip if we really don't know what we're talking about. The host's going to start us off, and I'm going to do my best.
Fantastic. Thank you, co-host. All right, so I have 5 questions lined up. There'll be 1 minute on the clock. The timer will start when I finish reading the first question. Are you ready?
Probably not, but let's get into it.
All right, question 1. How many non-MCU Fantastic Four films are there?
3. Ooh, depends on what you classify as a released film, but 3.
All right, I'll take 3. Question number 2. In what year was the first Fantastic Four movie set to release?
Ooh. 2005.
Okay, all right. 3. What movie pulled the Fantastic Four into the MCU?
Thunderbolts.
Okay, all right, that's an answer. What 2 future movies are the Fantastic Four set to appear within the MCU?
Fantastic First Steps and Doomsday.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Avengers.
And 5. Who was named the unofficial 5th member of the Fantastic Four?
Me. No idea.
All right. Judges, let's see the results. Question number 1. How many non-MCU Fantastic Four films are there? You said 3. We take 3 or 4. Both of those are a good answer, and I'll just explain why in just a bit. Question number 2.
I have a feeling I know what the caveat is there.
Oh.
And that's why I was debating.
It's one of my talking points. It's going to be a good one.
Cool.
Question number 2. In what year was the first Fantastic Four film set to release? And you said 2005?
Yeah, I didn't know if we were going to go with the issue with the first question or, I think the first one came out in 2005.
You're
I didn't know
correct.
if it was supposed to release then or if it was supposed to come out earlier, so I just went with when it was released.
Fantastic answer. So the first film was set to release in 1994, even before I was born.
Yeah.
3.
I'll give myself half a point for that.
I'll give you half a point. That's half a point. Number 3, what movie pulled the Fantastic Four into the MCU? If we want to get super technical, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, you're right. That's right.
I will say Thunderbolts. It is the welcome to the MCU big climactic reveal, which is yep.
Yeah.
4. What 2 future movies are the Fantastic Four set to appear within? There actually was 3 answers you could have in this one. That you got 2 of them out of the 3. You got the Fantastic Four, The First Steps, as well as Doomsday, and they're going to be in another one that I apparently didn't write down, so we'll skip that till later. And then number 5.
Ooh.
Who was the 5th named Good Lord. Who is the 5th unofficial member of the Fantastic Four? There were a couple of answers I would have accepted, but the one that generally the crowds accept is Peter Parker or Spider-Man.
Yeah, I know he teamed up with, well, I wouldn't necessarily say team up, but they've met a few times.
He also does have a Fantastic Four suit.
Ooh.
He does. He has the Fantastic Spider-Man, I do believe is what the suit's called.
I think the safest guess I could have ever made was me, because it is fantastic how little I know about the Fantastic Four.
And that's going to be my first talking point of the day, is the Fantastic Four. So, let's go with you for the beginning of that. When you think Fantastic Four, why do you not see them as the best Marvel IP? Why do you think that is?
Well, for I think the biggest thing pop culture wise is because their films have been such spotty in terms of reception and quality. Like I think if their films were loved more by the fans or if they were just better,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think they get talked about more. But really, if I'm honest, I don't really like the Fantastic Four that much. And it's not fair because I haven't seen any of the movies, haven't really read anything about them. But this will surprise you. I actually
Mm-hmm.
did my homework on this one.
Oh ho ho.
I watched the first one, the one
Mm-hmm.
that came out in 2005,
Mm-hmm.
a few nights ago, just to see if, my opinion would change. And it has not. Like I can see
mm-hmm.
where people can like the movie as like a nostalgia based thing. It does feel a lot like Raimi's first Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but in a lot of ways it's just not memorable to me. Like I don't think I can remember a single line of dialogue and I watched it 2 nights ago.
That's incredibly fair. I think the I will get into the harder selling points of it, but I firmly believe. See, I did not do my homework. I have seen the 2005 release and I've seen Rise of the Silver Surfer. Now, Rise of the Silver
That's the
Surfer,
best one, right?
uh, the best of what? What could it possibly the best? Anyway, so do you know when I first saw Rise of the Silver Surfer?
Was it in theaters?
It was okay, kind of yes, kind of no. So, do you remember drive-in movie theaters?
Yeah, I'm not that young. I do remember drive-in theaters.
Yeah, so close to where I grew up, there was a drive-in movie theater, and it was a double feature. They played the original Hulk movie along with Rise of the Silver Surfer. And even as a wee young lad as I was back then, I can still remember not not really loving the Fantastic Four, and also still not knowing who they were after the movie ended.
Yeah, I did a lot of thinking as
Mm-hmm.
to why I've never been interested in this franchise. And I think the biggest thing is stretchy powers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't I don't think they're that great. Like really what can you do with them? You can reach something off the top shelf, just grow more legs, like get taller.
See, and here's my thing is we look at the Fantastic Four and let's make a comparison of Mr. Fantastic and Elastigirl or Mrs. Incredible from the Pixar
That
film
is
The
the
Incredibles.
that is the direct comparison I was thinking of the entire time watching that movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you what the
Like
difference is. I can tell you the difference is.
Pixar Mom.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Pixar mom ratio difference. That's what it is. Look at Mrs. Incredible. Look at Reed Richards. Look at Mr. Fantastic, and you tell me, which one do you want merchandise of? But on to a more serious topic of why I don't think. First off, let's get one thing clear. The first couple movies for the Silver Surfer, they had a couple. The Silver Surfer, oh my god. You might as well make him the main character. It doesn't matter. He's the only interesting part of that whole movie. With the Fantastic Four, is they fumbled the bag hard. And I think it came out too early. We already can agree that the MCU starts in 2008 with the kick ass track of Back in Black by AC/DC.
One of my favorite songs, absolutely.
And it starts with the first Iron Man movie. Before then, I feel like the superhero movie genre was an uphill battle simply because we were going from a niche culture of childhood hero characters from comic books and putting them to movies. We're going to set DC aside for now because I'm not a DC
Yeah.
fanboy. I don't hate on DC. I like the Batman movies, but if I see one more Superman movie, I'm going to scream. I know what happens. I know what happens. Beside the point, I think they thought
See,
a
I
really.
think
Go ahead.
just to touch on where movies were before Iron Man, I think on the Marvel side,
Mm-hmm.
it was starting to pick up a little bit of steam because the Raimi Spider-Man movies
Mm-hmm.
had come out. The X-Men movies were they all that first trilogy? Had they been out before 2008?
I think.
I'm not
Oh, Wow, we're so good at what we do for a living.
It was
Great
around that
question.
time, and I think
Same
if
era, if
the
nothing else.
right, if and I don't think if those movies had the exposure that they did, I'm not sure that Iron Man would have done as well
Mm-hmm.
initially as it did.
That's fair. Um, here's one thing that, and let me hear your take on this. I think one of the reasons that the Fantastic Four is not as strong as say Iron Man, Spider Man, um, is going to be the Fantastic Four is an ensemble hero cast that's not played as well as the X Men. Uh, when it comes to a superhero,
Yeah.
go ahead. What's that?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, gotcha. So I think an ensemble cast is always hard for any genre, and I think heroes is even harder because you have to give each hero time to shine and for us to care about that hero. And some people are going to look at me and go, well, what about the X Men? That is very true, but I think the X Men are just written better, and I think they get more time to flesh out. And the bigger thing with Fantastic Four having less of a following than the X Men comics, from what I can find, crucify me if you will, taking all the comic history of the Fantastic Four and putting it into a 2 hour movie is very difficult to make heroes feel fleshed out. And you're going to look at me and you're going to say, but Guy, don't you love manga and anime? And I'm going to go, yeah. And you're going to go, well, what about My Hero Academia or Boku no Hero Academia if you want me to hate you? This is an extreme example of a good ensemble cast, but to accentuate my point, the My Hero Academia universe, they've got the manga, which we can relate closer to the Fantastic Four comics, and then instead of having just a couple of movies, they have an entire anime that gives you time to flesh out and love these characters. Where I think if we just had like an MHA movie, I don't think it would. I think it would have gone just the same as the Fantastic Four movies, at least in the U.S., Japan notwithstanding. How do you feel about an ensemble cast when it comes to heroes?
It's funny that you mentioned it's difficult to give everyone the screen time they deserve. And when I was watching the 2005 movie, it definitely felt like this was a movie about the Thing because it sets him up as the emotional center point for the movie. He's the one that, all these emotions about his wife leaving him because he is a rock guy now. He's sad. And it feels like everyone else is sprinkled in here and there, but the emotional through point is him. He's, I think, the only one with an actual arc in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Whereas the other characters are fun. Chris Evans as Johnny is great to watch, but getting emotionally invested in this team is not something I found myself doing because I don't think there was any major development outside of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like that point. So, let's talk a bit about the precursor to the Silver Surfer movie, which was the first Fantastic Four movie, which is actually the second Fantastic Four movie, or possibly 1.5. And we're going to look back at 1994 when the first was supposed to release. Now, you can tell me I'm wrong, you can find counterpoints, but I think the biggest issue market wise was they released a trailer for the Fantastic Four, they tried to get some hype about it, and then the whole thing fell apart. Now, whether or not you believe that it was a marketing gimmick to just maintain the rights, because I know that the rights were bought in, what was it, 1986 or 84 is when the rights were originally bought to make this movie, and it just kind of fell apart at the seams. Um, do you believe that that first fumble will make them irrecoverable, or do you think that the new MCU adaptation and version inclusion of the Fantastic Four is going to either make new fans or reignite old ones that I'm pretty sure no longer exist?
Yeah, so this kind of goes in with another point I wanted to make later on once we got talking about the current state of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but talking about if it'll bring in new fans, I mean, you got the cast, you got Pedro Pascal, even Mossbach, however you pronounce his name. Um, he's a great actor. I think that's going to draw in a lot of people, whether they'll stick around. I think that's entirely going to depend on the quality of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that
Mm-hmm.
brings me to my point of, what's the last really good Marvel product you've seen?
Oh, the last really good one.
Yeah, one where you could say, we're back.
Mmm. I'm gonna get put on a cross for this. I really liked Multiverse of Madness.
Right?
But that's because I'm a very big Doctor Strange fanboy, and I am a Doctor Strange apologist, 150%. Um,
That's,
what's okay? Without crucifying me, what's your belief of the last good? Well, actually, you know what? To answer your question with a question, was Thunderbolts a good Marvel film?
I thought Thunderbolts was pretty good. I don't think it was the savior that it's been claimed to have been online, but it did feel like, an older Marvel movie. There was a nice team up. The dynamics were well fleshed out, and it was enjoyable. I mean, it wasn't peak,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't bad. And I think that's pretty much exactly what the MCU needed at this point is it needed to not be bad. Because if you look at some of the ratings, I'm just going to say the IMDb
Mm-hmm.
ratings, I don't think are accurate because it has number 7 is the Avengers, and then number 8 is WandaVision, right
Ooh.
above the Winter Soldier. That's not true. That does not feel right at all. Looking at Business Insider, they actually have all of the Rotten Tomatoes scores listed.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want sources, I guess it would be the Rotten Tomatoes score. Uh, if you look towards the bottom of the list, like unsurprisingly, Quantum Mania is at 51 with a 46% score. Uh, Brave New World at 49, the most mid movie I think I've ever seen. And
That
then a lot
tracks.
of the Disney Plus shows like Secret Invasion, like they're all towards the bottom of that list.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get to Thunderbolts,
Mm-hmm.
and that's at I think
That's
it was yeah, it's at number 19 with an
okay.
89% score. That is a massive jump in quality. And then you have
Mm-hmm.
the new Daredevil show
Mm-hmm.
right below it, a few places, which we can get into Daredevil another time with how crazy the production was for the new show because it sounded like a nightmare.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But it was a fun watch,
Mm-hmm.
and really Thunderbolts was fun. Some of these other shows like Secret Invasion wasn't fun because you didn't know where all of these characters were from. You felt like I think a lot of the criticism about the MCU is, oh, you have to watch everything to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think Secret Invasion was like that. You had to watch a whole ton of stuff to know. Thunderbolts, I haven't seen Black Widow. I haven't seen, I think, half the other stuff that characters were a part of, but I had fun with it. I think that if Fantastic Four can be fun, I think it's going to be another step in the right direction.
I agree. I think the biggest thing for me that made Thunderbolts as good as it is the writing felt classic MCU, like first Guardians of the Galaxy level.
Yeah.
I like the witty, snarky characters, and don't get me wrong, not every character can be witty and snarky. We can't have everybody be Rocket Raccoon and Star Lord, as much as that would make my day. But I think it's a lot of the movies that took themselves too seriously. Um, Quantumania, I think, put a real dampener on the MCU's fan base as a whole, at least in my personal opinion, because if I want to watch a dark, brooding man take things too seriously, I'll just go watch the Batman films. They're not bad films. Um, Or I'll go watch, Robin Boy Wonder if I want to see, somebody take things a little too literally or too seriously. That being said, when it comes to the writing of the MCU, this is one of the points I wanted to get to, was do you feel. I kind of feel like they're on a reverse bell curve. As in early MCU, I'm talking like Iron Man 1, we're talking Guardians of the Galaxy, a little bit earlier in the timeline. It's just slowly, and I'm not gonna blame Disney 110%. The Disney acquisition I think did good and bad things, but we're gonna go past that for now. But I think that we're on an uptick again of decently written movies that are fun to watch and are not just, hey, we needed to sell merch, so here is another movie for you to buy things for. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the merchandise is not something I always look into. Like I don't always actually I never look at review scores before I decide and go see something. That's so subjective.
Oh, 100%
And
agree on that one. I don't want to go in with preconceived notions on something.
right, and I know I just made myself the biggest hypocrite because I literally not 5 minutes ago pulled up review scores.
After the
That was
fact
more to
is
prove a
fine. After the
point.
fact is fine.
Yeah, well, that was more to prove a point of this is like what the mass public views these movies as. Like I'm not just pulling these things out of my ass.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't think I don't know to accurately say if they're pulling a Transformers and just be like, oh, you got to bump it out because we have to make more toys. I can't really say because I've never really paid attention to the marketing on that side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But writing quality and writing, it does feel like it is they are caring a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Like getting
Mm-hmm.
back to the Daredevil comparison, they once they went back and reshot a lot of stuff and got rid of the first creative team on that show, they had a very clear and concise directive of make it more like what was good about it before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't make it all. How do I want to?
It's difficult to put into words. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
as you are the only
the
filmmaker here.
right as the only filmmaker here, let me give you a 12-hour analysis. Um, no, I don't want to say anything in a negative connotation because I think She-Hulk is a good comparison
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, on where the new Daredevil show was going. If you like that stuff, you like that stuff. It's fine, but I think there's a time and place for it, and I don't think the Netflix Daredevil is the time nor the place to do that kind of stuff with. So they changed it up to make it more to what the fans wanted, and I think that's an excellent decision. And I hope that is part of the bell curve that they're going for.
I can agree. I think a lot of things very similar to, and we'll talk about Star Wars in a future episode. Do not worry, fans. But I feel like how once Disney acquired Star Wars, they put out about 1.5 million new Star Wars things in the span of like 3 years.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
do.
feel like there was, and again, I said I wasn't going to blame Disney, and it's not entirely Disney's fault. Um, but I feel like part of that low end of the bell curve was, hey, we now have Marvel on Disney Plus. Let's make everything we can possibly imagine for it, so we can fill out a roster to justify our purchases. Because I think part of the mentality behind it was we have this whole new company that's now ours, and we've just told people, hey, it's all here on Disney Plus. But there's a lot of things before the MCU that were not able to be purchased or had to be acquired later. And some stuff that'll probably never. I mean, looking at Venom and the Spider-Mans. Um,
They're holding on to that with their dying breath.
so I think it's the only thing keeping Sony afloat. That and the
One of
PS5.
not even like with what games? I have a PS5 And what games do I play?
I, I,
No,
I,
like
I But be that as it may, um, I think that we got a lot of, and it was a lot of shovelware. It was just give things to people while we try to figure out what we want to do and what direction to take things in. And I think they're just kind of realizing that if we stick closer to the comics, we're gonna do better. My punch in the gut is, I think this was before Disney. What year did Disney acquire Marvel? What year was that? Do you know?
it was. Oh, I don't, but it was before they acquired Star Wars.
2009. Okay, so I think I can
Yeah, that
blame
makes
them for this.
yeah. Well, one of the things with the launch of Disney Plus, in hindsight, they recently said like, yeah, we made a lot too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really led to the current burnout that I think everyone's feeling of superhero movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because before, like when Iron Man came out and when they were starting this cinematic universe, one, two movies a year, maybe three as it got
Mm-hmm.
closer to like phase two. But once Disney Plus came out, you had like two to three movies a year, three to four shows a year,
Mm-hmm.
a
Shovelware.
lot to keep up with, right? And the quality was progressively lowering. So they recently said that they were, I think Feige said that they're slowing down, like they're not gonna focus on pushing out too many shows at once, and I think that'll help for sure. But again, the quality's got to be there.
I agree.
If the
So
quality's not there, no one's gonna watch.
I went ahead and checked, so I made sure I can blame Disney for this. Yeah,
Mhm.
2009 they were acquired. Um, in 2017, Iron Fist, the show, came out firmly within Disney's purview. Was the Have you watched the Iron Fist show?
I watched The Defenders
Mm-hmm.
because I heard Iron Fist was not worth your time.
Yeah. So, and again, we're telling on ourselves. Rotten Tomatoes score for Iron Fist is 20%. That feels high because okay. So I love Iron Fist as a character. Um, I also like Swordmaster. If you want to get super technical, we're not going to go to that now. We can go to that later. Um, but the Iron Fist show was just awful. It felt like it should have just been a movie, and at that, it's probably had 2 hours too much content, even for a show. Same thing with Moon Knight. Have you seen uh, the Moon Knight show?
I have, and I don't know. There are parts of it that I really like the lore behind it, all the Egyptian mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Um, from someone who was not familiar with Moon Knight and going into this blind, I was expecting more superhero stuff out of it,
Exactly. So I,
and
go ahead.
I don't I don't dislike what they did with it. I think it was a nice experiment,
Mm-hmm.
but for something that relatively unknown, I think that was another misstep for Marvel, unfortunately.
I think Moon Knight was a disaster for both old and new fans of Moon Knight, simply because Moon Knight is essentially just a psychiatric patient version of Deadpool. I love Moon Knight. So if you come in knowing Moon Knight and the story, the show just feels slow and it feels out of place. And if you have no idea who Moon Knight is, the show is just boring for a good couple episodes. Like, you know how everyone's like, oh, it gets good after like season two? Like that, it might as well
You
be,
shouldn't have
oh,
to wait for a season two
exact.
for it to be
Like
good.
half of this, like both Iron Fist never gets good. Iron Fist just doesn't get good. It just stays bad. It just stays whatever. Um, but
Yeah,
it's
like I
just,
think there's a
mm-hmm.
there's a good distinction between slow and boring because like I love slow burns.
Oh
Alien
yeah,
is one of my favorite movies, one of the slowest movies ever, but it's still good in
mm-hmm.
its slow moments.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of slow films because I own every Hayao Miyazaki movie ever created, and Kiki's Delivery Service doesn't get exciting until the last 10 minutes. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So don't sit here and go, you're just an action junkie. No, I'll watch My Neighbor Totoro. I'll watch the cat bus roam around for an hour. Um, Beside that point, do you think that they should just stick to making movies and just drop doing shows altogether?
No, but the pacing is one of the issues with the writing stuff on the shows. And which is weird I say that because I had the horrible idea of going to see the new Captain America movie, and it felt like it was another show. Like the pacing, it was very obvious in like half hour chunks. Like, all right, this is this plot point. All right, now we're going on to this plot point. Now we're going on to this plot point. It felt very segmented, which is weird to say for a movie in that sense, but
Hmm.
it did feel exactly like. Um, so bringing Star Wars back into this, the Clone Wars movie was originally that was just supposed to be the pilot, the first few episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, well, we are going to push this out to theaters, so they did a bit of editing on it and put like the first 3 or 4 episodes out as a movie. You could very well tell that they're 4 individual episodes. It kind of felt the same as the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, the
Yes.
Captain America movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there are other shows where you trim it up, like Secret Invasion, you trim that up. It could very well be a 2 hour movie. It does not need to be a 6 to 8 episode, hour long episode show.
Right. So,
So I'm
mm-hmm.
not saying that they shouldn't do shows anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
think they should pace it better. And I'm not an executive. I just make the movies, right? I
Right.
don't know what the demand was
Mm-hmm.
for on the studio side. Like, we need this amount for the streaming service. I don't know what they did, but in general, I think there needs to be more understanding on the executive side who's making the decisions of like, all right, we're gonna make this a movie, we're gonna make this a show, who are not filmmakers. They don't know what truly goes into it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Now, and again, I'm an author, you're a film creator, so my take on this would be to go with the almost, and this is gonna sound weird and cringy, but the anime route where we have the comics, which are established canon. We have a certain love for the comics, Fantastic Four. Would it not make sense to you to put the time and money into a short 1 or 2 season show of the Fantastic Four to better flesh out each individual character because it's an ensemble cast? And then, as long as the hype is there and people are enjoying it, then put the money into making a major motion picture so that by the time we get to the movie, and again, we can have the movie be a complete standalone from the show. We've done this before. But wouldn't it make sense if you're going to have an ensemble cast that, again, rather obscure characters that, let's be honest, Marvel Rivals has made new fans of the Fantastic Four, myself included. I like playing Human Torch and the Thing. I like punching people. However, it, what is your thought? I think the best way to go about it was, especially with an ensemble cast, give us at least 1 season, 12 episodes, exploring these different characters, give them some kind of at least a minor arc, if not like a full-on prequel, because that gets long and taxing and people don't care. Um, what are your thoughts about? Why don't we just go from show to movie?
I don't think that kind of media world exists anymore. At least not in the current state of streaming movies. Because like before, growing up, like we'd have 3, 4 season shows, 26 episodes each an hour long.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Now and that would come out yearly. Now it takes 2 or 3 years to make 4 episodes of Stranger Things, right?
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
think development wise, I'm not sure if studios want to put in that much commitment for a show when they could just make a movie about it, condense it. And for the audiences, I'm not sure if modern audiences are interested in watching a few seasons of a show just to flesh out some characters. Getting back to our previous point,
Mm-hmm.
they might think it's slow or boring.
That's fair. That's fair.
Would I like it to for there to be a show and then a movie? Yeah, it would feel like a major event. But I think realistically, unfortunately now, we've got so much sounding like a 70-year-old boomer. We got so much brain rot out there. Like,
That's a fair point. Attention spans are hard. Do you ever, when you're watching a movie, do you ever have the time to phone paradox, or not paradox, but like scale? Like how long until I look at my phone?
brother, I've been on my phone this entire time. No, yeah, like it's rough. Like getting back to the Fantastic Four movie, I was watching it, and then the
Hmm.
group chat started popping off. They were talking about books, and I was like, well, I can glance at this a few minutes, and I completely missed the first action scene when they're rescuing people on the bridge. Like I'm looking up every now and then, like following along. I can connect the dots,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like I'm really not doing this movie.
Justice.
It's right, but I'm not going to rewind to
But that
rewatch it because
speaks
I'm
to a
not
large
invested.
volume of what the movie, of what how good the movie is. You know what would be better than watching this major motion picture? Some words on a page that I have to go out and physically find.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
think that's even less of a draw now.
It's like, hey, you know what'd be better than watching something? Reading. And when the attention span is as short as it is nowadays, if your movie is not as good as reading a book about the even about the same topic, we have a problem. We had a
If you're not
problem.
if you're not interrupted by ads every 14 seconds, how do you know that what you're reading is good?
That is such a fair and valid point. Speaking of ads, today's sponsor, we don't have one. This is the first episode, but that was a great lead in.
That was an absolute flawless plug. I could not have done it better myself.
I'm a writer, I'm an author. I know how to put a masterpiece together on paper and then transform it into words because I'm also a professional voice actor. Don't know if I've told you this, but I've done commercials. I've been the
You're the
ad. I've been the
professional
ads.
voice actor, the one that professionally officiated one of our friends' weddings in their D&D voice. Yeah, I never knew. I never knew.
To be in my defense, that's a great public speaking voice.
It is. It is.
And then several people thought I was British, which I didn't get British out of that, but what do I know?
It's British adjacent.
I mean, I am.
Yes.
I mean, my heritage is English, so I mean, I'm kind of predetermined, predestined, if you will. So yeah, if you want to sponsor us, two raccoons podcast at gmail.com. Send us some love letters. Send us money. Send us merch ideas. Help us out.
Or harassment, even.
You
I'll
know
read
what?
through
We'll
it.
take any engagement. You could just send us hate mail. That's fine.
Yeah, here's my address 4815 Oceanic Drive.
My address is 1 South
Yep.
Pacific. Just take your letters and huck them into the ocean. They'll get to me eventually. They always do. Well, yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like there's so much potential, especially with how, because you can agree that the, I guess I don't want to say fascination, but the amount of fans for superhero movies exploded with the MCU, and it's been like, again, let's look at Marvel Rivals, a team hero shooter. Let's not mix words. There's enough of them. There's enough of them. But it's doing gangbusters. Even I play it and enjoy it, and I suck at those kind of games. Just ask my fiance, or any of my teammates who wonder where I am, not on the objective.
Look, the
So
skybox looks pretty,
it
okay?
does. The clouds move. Um, but that being said, I think that there's so much potential and there's so much money to be made, and they know they're gonna make it back. And I think that might be part of the problem. is that
For sure, it 100% is.
there's too much guaranteed success to an extent. Don't get me wrong. Multiverse of Madness did not do great, neither did Quantum Mania, but they still made more money than they cost, and executives got a paycheck. And that's all it really comes down to for, I think, for executives is what will get us a paycheck. And yes, the obvious answer is, hey, a good movie makes more money, but also, hey, a lower effort movie with D-list actors, which don't get me wrong, I would love to see more lower tier actors get some bits in like MCU because we're gonna run we're gonna run out of people soon. We're gonna run out of A-listers. They're gonna get old. They're going to pass away. They're going to retire. Jim Carrey came out of retirement for Sonic 3.
Yeah, or you're gonna use your big names on a one and done role. Like Christian Bale was in the latest Thor movie,
Oh
one
yeah.
and done.
Yep.
And
Love and Thunder, right? That was the one.
correct, correct.
I didn't love Nor Thunder, that movie.
Yeah, it was decent. Again, it's a modern Marvel movie. I think it focused way too much on the jokes, and it didn't give the serious nature of the story the respect I think it warranted.
Okay, because and to that same exact point, so Thor Ragnarok, which is
Loved it.
it's my favorite Thor movie. It starts off with Thor not taking anything seriously and joking about being tied up and swinging around on the little chain. It starts with a bit joke, and it's a fantastic movie throughout.
I
It's
think the biggest uh, thing that lent to that movie's success was the Immigrant Song.
I you've actually stumped me. The what?
Led Zeppelin, the Immigrant Song.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, this bit is not landing. Moving on.
No.
Yeah, the movie as a whole. I think it's the first Marvel movie Taika Waititi directed, if I'm not
Is
mistaken.
it?
I I'm pretty sure it is, and you can tell how much research I did
Right.
going into this. Not much.
I feel like the 2022-2023 film season for Marvel just um as the children say was blowing cheeks because you've got the Marvels, nobody cares. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, nobody liked it. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, who cares? Thor Love and Thunder, also 2022, and again, no love, no thunder, all fat man carrying a spaceship on a chain.
Yeah, and then I don't even know what shows were coming out at that point. Was Loki season two, was that the highlight of that batch of projects?
Can we talk about how good Loki is?
Like as a person, the murderer, yeah, he's great.
Okay, so Loki season 2 premiered 2023, late 23 in October.
Oh,
Do you think
it's a
that's
lot
where the
more
bell
recent.
curve started going back up?
Absolutely.
Cuz I
The
the whole TVA, what a brilliant way to tie up like loose ends.
Yeah,
It's
unfortunately, I
mhm.
think that's the one thing that's my biggest gripe with the story so far. Like time travel, all that stuff is I don't want to say it's my bread and butter because I don't
Mhm.
eat bread and butter. It's my Coke and popcorn, right?
Right.
I love time travel, but whenever it's introduced in a franchise, I want to know the specifics. What are the rules? What can you
Mhm.
do? What can't you do? Can you go back and accidentally save your dad? In which case, then your mom tries to get in hook up with you, and then you have to like no, they have to hook up, or else you're gonna disappear and you never get to drive a DeLorean again. Or is it more set in stone? Whatever happened, happened, right?
Was it Looper that did that?
No, I was talking about Back to the Future.
No, I'm talking the second
That was
part. Yeah, the Marty
oh
McFly
no,
disappearing thing. You ever seen Looper?
no, my reference was lost.
That's okay. That's even better. If I remember, if I what I remember of Looper, if I'm remembering the right movie, is as a child, He meets this really strange adult that's trying to tell him things about the future, and then as an adult, he runs into doing that and talking to himself as a child, and has that memory of, oh, I am the strange man from the past.
That's exactly Faraday's arc in Lost. Actually, that's
Beautiful.
funny. Um, but they don't really define what rules are. I mean, they kind of do, but they I guess it's up to interpretation,
They kind
especially with the
of,
whole multiverse stuff.
yeah,
Like
they kind of Doctor Who it a little bit.
like I've said for a while, like I want like a 5 minute
Hmm.
piece. It doesn't have to be what you do. You get Miss Minutes in, make it black and white, make it animated, whatever, fit in with the Loki aesthetic.
Hmm.
Have her explain what the current standing of the MCU is, what the rules of multiverse travel are, what the rules of time travel are, because even spoiler alert for Thunderbolts, even though yeah, we're 45 minutes into this recording, probably should have said that at the beginning.
Eh. If
The
you're
end credit scene, sorry,
no, here you keep going.
the end credit scene, they said a multi-dimensional portals open up or whatever.
Hmm.
So now we're jumping from multiverse to multi dimensions. Like, is are they just throwing out that term interchangeably?
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
there's a lot of important stuff that needs to be described or conveyed to us that we just don't have that information.
Agreed. I I'm not worried about it, but I also, there's a lot. I mean, there is a lot. I'm still waiting for the Squirrel Girl movie. Um,
That's not going to happen.
oh god, it needs to, or at least make her a good character in like a Spider-Man movie. Like let's at least do like a team up. Um,
Is she in Rivals?
she is in Rivals, yes. That's where a lot of people.
That's
She's the character that you play here if you're a, as the kids call, a gooner.
yeah, that's she's in Rivals. That's all you're getting.
Yeah,
I don't see her making a jump to live action anytime
her
soon.
comics are so good. Beside the point. Um, I have a hope that we're gonna get more and better IP under the guise of this multi-dimensional travel, because it lets them open, if it is different from multiversal, like you said, we have to figure out what the definitions are in this particular context. I think it opens up so many potentially fantastic doors, but as a wise shepherd, son of a shepherd once said, life has many doors, Ed boy, and sometimes behind the door is Iron Fist. And I don't need another Iron Fist to happen. If you see what I'm saying.
I am. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's so many of the issues could be solved with just a simple here's what can happen, here's what can't happen. Just doesn't even have to be in universe. Feige makes a press statement. Here's what you can expect to happen from
Mm-hmm.
this universe, and here's what we absolutely will not do until we want to make more money with some other characters. So we're bringing back RDJ, right?
Isn't he coming back as Doctor Doom?
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, is he supposed to be an Iron Man variant? Like, what's that? I don't know.
Like, is he multi-dimensional Iron Man turned Wicked?
I don't know. Is he the same Doctor Doom that they taxidermied at the end of Fantastic Four 2005 and put on a shipping crate?
Well, different. No God. There's a really good line between Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom in the comics, and it's pretty well known. You've probably seen it before, and it's Doctor Strange is battling against Doctor Doom, and he goes, "Ah, Doctor Doom. So, are you a doctor?" And he goes, "No. Do you have a doctorate degree?" "No." "Well, then, hello there, Mister Doom." Which is fine because, as I've established in the MCU, I don't think. Wait, did we ever establish whether or not Iron Man, Tony Stark, had gotten degrees, or was he just a genius inventor like his dad with no degree to qualify that? He just does things of his own accord.
I don't recall.
Because Doctor Strange has a doctorate. He was it neuroscience, neurosurgery.
Yeah,
He was a surgeon. I know that.
yeah, he's an actual doctor. I'm not certain that Tony was actually a doctor or anything. I think he was just smart.
He's just a really smart dude who's building a suit in a cave out of
With a
scraps.
box of scraps.
Ah, oh, goodness gracious. Um, but
Another thing
mm-hmm,
that I think people are becoming more and more disillusioned with these films is the quality of the special effects. Like a lot of that, the first few stuff were decent quality effects.
mm-hmm,
I think there was Taika Waititi and the actress who played Valkyrie. They were doing some sort of interview with each other, and they were looking at a scene from Thor 4, and he just asked her like, "Does this effect look real to you?" And she's like, "No," and they kind of laughed about it, and they're like, "Yeah, like the effects were super rushed. Um, it just was not good."
yeah,
Like,
I have to agree. I mean, don't get me wrong, and you can crucify me. I've never seen a Transformers movie, not one, not a single one.
I wouldn't
Um,
waste your time if you're looking for a good story, but the effects are
I've
some
been
of the
told that they
worst.
are the reason for going, kind of like the Godzilla movies. Also, never seen a Godzilla movie. I'm uncultured. I want to make
I
that very
actually,
clear. Mm-hmm.
it's funny you bring up Godzilla. The I just saw the -1. I saw that one in theaters. Haven't seen any other Godzilla movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fantastic. And it was, I think, budget was like 50 million, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And did you
It
feel?
made
Mm-hmm.
it made it back in spades.
Mm-hmm. I've been told it's very good. I was told that one of my writing pieces by my writing group, because I'm a writer, uh,
Oh, really? You haven't mentioned that.
I haven't, as the only writer here, um, that one of my pieces of work was very Godzilla -1 esque, and I didn't know how to take that as a compliment or to take that as a punch to the kidneys. I'm glad to hear that it's probably a compliment.
Yeah, I'd take it as a compliment.
Now, my question is, since you saw that movie, how do they do a movie about Godzilla with -1 Godzillas?
Yeah, so it actually goes back to the beginning of time,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows you the creation of the Godzillas. It's yeah, I'm not a fan of this bit either. I was lying to you completely.
I was gonna say, so it's a documentary, a nature documentary.
Yeah,
Fan
of course.
I mean, well, Godzilla's real, obviously. He is a resident of Japan. He has paperwork, the whole 9 yards. He has to be real. That's the only way to look at it. So, as we're getting near our minimum time limit here, um, what are some talking points you want to hit on before we have to wrap things up and give our dear listeners a break from our mindless, insistent ramblings?
I'm kind of surprised we didn't bring up the Fan Four Stick. I think it was 2015 that one came out when they tried to give another go at the Fantastic Four franchise. Um, I again haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure that movie also is not loved by fans or critics. And it's funny because, that was still not an MCU project.
Mm-hmm.
Is Are the Disney dollars going to be what breaks that curse for them? Or do we think it's just not a franchise people want to care about?
That's fair. Again, it's a franchise that I can't look at you and go, "Oh yes, I'm familiar with the Fantastic Four." I can't do that honestly. Also, to accentuate your point, uh, let's play that famous game. Guess the Rotten Tomato score. Fantastic Four 2015. What do you think their score was?
I'm going to guess.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
I'm debating between 27 and 38%. Let's go with 35.
35. That is very close. It's got 9.
Yeah.
It's got a not. I have never seen a movie get IMDb 4.3. Almost an okay movie. Almost, not quite. Directed by Josh Trank. What else has he done?
I can't really. That is not a name I'm familiar with at all.
Nothing good. Let's just go with that. There's like nothing
That,
here that I would ever bother seeing.
well, Josh, we know you're listening. Sorry.
He's 41. His career's over. Wrap it up. Go pretend to do something important. I don't know. It's I don't know. It I'm super as a final note. What is your honest prediction for Fantastic Four: The First Steps? Do you think it's going to do well? Do you think we're going to have good VFX? Do you think we're going to have a good story? Give me your rundown of your prediction. And give me your Rotten Tomato score prediction. I'm writing this down.
Yeah, box office, I think it's going to get a lot of people in the door because of the cast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ratings wise, it's probably going to be lowest, I'd say 60.
Okay.
Highest, it's really hard to tell because I'm not convinced from the trailers I've seen with what I'm gathering, the story they want to tell. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be a 79%.
79. Okay, 79. That's a good number. You have a lot more faith in it than I do. I'm going with a 52%. That's my ballpark is 52%. I think it's gonna do just kind of smack dab in the middle, a little over because they're gonna pay off somebody to talk good about it, and that's
You mean
gonna be
every
that.
reviewer ever?
Exactly. How could you
That's why I'm giving it.
besmirch the good name of a reviewer who honestly sits there day after day for our benefit and watches those movies while playing Balloon Tower Defense 6 on their phone?
Hey, we do not desecrate the name of Bloons Tower Defense in this household. I will tell you that much.
I love Bloom Towers Defense. It's one of the best games of all time. 6 is a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, not to get too off topic, but I've played that franchise since the beginning, especially the third one on Cool Math Games during school.
One of the few websites
That's
you
what
were
I
able
was
to
doing
access.
besides homework. Yeah.
And here we are, a successful podcasting duo about 2 raccoons in a trench coat.
Yep, just sharing our trash takes with our audience.
You know what? Let's make that our final segment. Trash takes about the MCU and about the Fantastic Four. Go. Give me at least 3. Give me 3 trash takes.
I don't like Tom Holland, especially as Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I think Guardians is the only all-around solid trilogy that works, because the other ones have outliers. And I don't think they should have recast RDJ. I think let him be.
Good takes. My 3. Andrew Garfield is the funniest Spider-Man, who I feel captured his humor and witticism the best, even though he only got to do it, 1 movie?
They put him in one movie in the MCU, yeah.
Yeah. And then, second trash take, Venom sucks. Venom just kind of sucks. Like, the movies, they suck. Don't at me. And third, final trash take, I think Thor getting fat, I think instead of making him buff and muscular again, they should have just leaned into the whole Norse mythology of Thor being a big rotund dude who's incredibly strong because he's big and rotund.
Yeah, I think some of that could have been they didn't really have a definite plan of where to go after Endgame. I think they were more focused on getting to Endgame, and then after that, it's like, what are we gonna do?
Right, like either keep Thor hot the entire time, or just let him be Nor from Thor's mythology. God. All right. Well, at the end, at the risk of sounding even worse on recording, I think we're about ready to wrap this up. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
I want to see more Punisher stuff. That's all I gotta say.
Oh God, yes. More Punisher goodies. Especially, have you seen The Accountant 2?
It's funny you should ask. I think I saw that with you.
You know, I think we did see it together, and I think that the whole time I was thinking this would be a great Punisher spinoff.
Yeah, and like, not to sound too like, oh, what's the word? Not cringy, but
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm really blanking on the term.
Okay, describe the term to me as best you can. Paint me a picture with your words.
Like, oh, like this guy, he's all powerful, so I'm gonna put his logo on my car and everything because
Oh
I want
yeah,
to be like him.
Glazers. You're talking about Glazers.
Yeah, not to be like that, but I think it's great to just have one character who is unapologetically does horrible things for the right reason. Like, yeah, the audience knows like morally that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
But every now and then it's nice to see like what could happen if you just go all out. And I think
Right.
that's a great avenue for the Punisher.
It's a great dichotomy to Marvel's other heroes.
Right. We have a lot of the moral stuff.
We got
He's
enough
really the only one that
Spider-Mans
carries
and
the other
Captain
side.
Americas. We need a guy who just shoots a man. We need Call of Duty the guy. But all right.
Yeah, not to cut the
Mhm.
topic short on him. I'm
Mhm.
sure we'll touch back on him and John Bernthal in general later on. But
Massively.
I think that's our time.
That's about all we have time for. So, as a quick wrap up, if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like and subscribe if that's available at the time. We don't know. Feel free to send us an email. Again, that's 2raccoonspodcast@gmail.com. Send us your ideas. Send us your hate mail. Send us your love mail. Send us your advertising slots. Send us your ideas. Send us your hopes and dreams. We'll whisper them into a pancake.
That's 2 C's, 2 O's, no spaces.
Oh yeah, I didn't know how to spell raccoon correctly as I was getting all this put together because I don't know how to spell. So we will be back hopefully within a week, 2 weeks. We're still getting our schedule set up. Please bear with us. We'll be getting everything put onto hopefully Spotify and YouTube and a whole bunch of other platforms. We'll do links and stuff to those as we get bigger. And we're hoping to bring on a guest here in not the too distant future to get things rocking and rolling. Anything else you want to add as a final wrap up before we hit the end record button and go back to our miserable mundane lives of watching Iron Fist?
I don't know about you, but that is not in my plans. I might watch one of the John Wick movies. Just got all 4 on DVD, and I'm looking forward to not liking the story again.
Yeah, it's the story of the secret coven of assassins where everyone on Earth is an assassin. All right.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Again, I have been some guy with a microphone along with my wonderful co-host.
I'm some guy with a hat, and we will catch you later.
Bye-bye.